guys, welcome back to Kundalini 101. So here's a question that I get a ton, and I think this is something that's super relevant, especially if you're new on the journey. It's, why is 1111 haunting me? This is something that comes up so many times, and I think it's interesting how this continues to be like a phenomena. It happens to so many people, and you'll find that for some reason, when we have a spiritual awakening, there is an immense number of synchronicities that are hard to ignore. So much so that it's like almost baffling. And one of the most common ones is 1111. And when it comes to understanding that 1111 connects to numerology, and numerology has been something that's been in our history for a very long time. Now, it wasn't until I started studying psychology that I really started grasping what numerology was kind of doing to my subconscious. And I have a definition on numerology that's slightly different than a lot of people. And I'll tell you why. And it's because what I've perceived as numerology is it's a subconscious trigger that is accessing your long-term memory. Now, I know this might sound crazy, but if you think about it in terms of understanding Carl Jung, I always get it wrong. Okay. He has a concept in psychology, and it's in the book about symbols, and it's essentially that our subconscious has particular ways of symbology, and the symbology accesses and triggers our long-term memory. Now, when it triggers our long-term memory, it accesses supposedly, in theory, DNA codes or different types of ways of thinking or memories that we had. And what it does is it kind of unlocks things in our mind. Now, when we experience a lot of numerology in our life, what you'll find is that we often are having deja vu experiences, synchronicities, certain things just randomly show up, and it's like, hey, that's just exactly what I was thinking about. And sure, we can even say that a lot of this could be confirmation bias. We could always say that. But at the same time, sometimes this numerology stuff is like so hard to ignore, and it feels like you're being haunted by numbers. And the reality of that is partly the law of attraction, and then the other half it is something I like to call subconscious triggers. And those subconscious triggers are activating your long-term memory and essentially kind of unraveling your authentic self. And so numerology can act as almost a trigger or a subconscious trigger that's activating your long-term memory. Now, who's to say exactly why it's doing this, other than the fact that it is kind of triggering you awake? It's making you more conscious of your reality. So in Jungian psychology, better known as analytical psychology, the basis is that everything is created through symbolism. Now, these symbols create archetypal triggers within the subconscious mind, and each trigger is unlocking access to our long-term memory or the collective unconscious. Now, many know this in the New Age world as the Akashic records. Now, basically, numerology can serve as a tool that causes us to have a trigger that is waking us up towards spiritual awakening or Kundalini. So this could also be linked to our soul blueprint or whatever. Now, that was the old definition of what I wrote like 5 to 10 years ago. But what I've really learned in terms of numerology is it's important to pay attention to what is coming up for you at that particular time. Was there a particular conversation you were having? It's usually a sign to pay attention. almost always it's a sign from higher self, your spirit guides, God, angels, universe. It's a sign to pay attention because there's something there that you need to see. Now, of course, when we think about like how when deja vu happens in the Matrix, it's about there's a change in reality. Well, yes, exactly. It's the same thing. It's like when there's a shift in reality, there's a shift in consciousness, and there's a shift in consciousness. You need to pay attention to that moment because in that moment, you are starting to shift and change. Now, because you're shifting and changing, you're more aware of that change. So now you're being subconsciously triggered from that long-term memory. And you're starting to wake up more and more and more and more and more to who you are. It's kind of like, reality is like an onion. And the more you peel off the layer and peel off the layer and peel off the layer, the more you're waking up to more and more and more and more of who you are as a person, who you are as consciousness, who you are beyond just the physical person that you are, beyond your conditioned self. So numerology often serves as a trigger to that particular person. Now, on the other spectrum, symbolically, 11, 11, and all of the stargates have also been known as gateway numbers. And supposedly, we receive more information from the collective unconscious during these particular times of reality. So whether it's particular dates in a calendar, or it can be usually particular dates during the year. And it can also be, when you see a lot of new numbers. Can we scientifically say that this is what's going on? No, we cannot. But it is a beautiful theory on how we are accessing the collective unconscious through numerology. Is it true? I don't know. These are just theories. And I think it's important to say that because I think at the end of the day, here's the thing. 11 is what you make it to mean and how you most benefit from it. So I think it's a beautiful way to look at your intuition, paying attention, spirits trying to show you something, and to also know that it's probably a form of alignment guiding you. Alignment has a tendency to guide us wherever we are. And so the more we pay attention to our own alignment, we start to tune into that, and that becomes more of a conversation of, oh, this is what I need to do next. Oh, my intuition was right. Oh, I should have thought of it like that. And so instead it becomes more of a, let's hone in back into my intuition. And then it's also a conversation of, maybe it is subconsciously triggering my long-term memory, and I'm unlocking the Akashic records, and I'm tuning back in more and remembering who I am. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think it's more about that, or do you think it's more like your angels are guiding you? I'd love to hear your own interpretation. If you guys would like to leave a comment down below and let me know your own thoughts, I'd really appreciate it. And finally, I also like to say we have the Spiritual Awakening Roadmap. If you enjoy this series and you'd like to learn more about Kundalini Awakening and Spiritually Awakening, this is my free gift for you. You can download that at roadmap.theawakenedstate.net. And I'll see you guys next time.